And it's going to be a match on Marsh between Latana and Racing Cat, who is a pretty great Atlantean player, but lately on the expansion he's playing Niva. And then he's facing Master, who else than Sensui. And Sensui, as you may know, or rather should know, is one of the best Brazilian Atlantean players as well. And he is going to be playing Oranos in this match. So, Niva versus Oranos. And let's see how well everything is gonna go for both of these players. So let's start it off, and we are seeing at the top side, rather the bottom side, Master Sensui, who is going for Economic Guild, which is obviously the thing you want to do on this kind of map, as we are playing on Marsh. And he will want the hunting dogs as soon as possible, having the boars, or rather the pigs, on the right side. And on the left, do we see the hunt? He still doesn't see it, which is kind of worrisome for him, I would guess at this point. Right now he sees the llamas here, and it's actually 400, so that's a hippo. That's a hippo, and where is the normal hunt? Okay, this is a normal hunt, so we're going to be having a bit of a difficulty actually encountering what kind of animals are which. But otherwise, he's nicely going with the oracles to the right, to the middle, and to the left, as is usual for the Atlantean players. Looking at the TC positions, it seems like that both of his TCs are very nice indeed. They are very close to his base, and who will be probably not all too happy will be Latanian Racing Cat, who is at this point having a TC at pretty much center of the map, which is not ideal, as it's going to be hotly contested by both of them. So I'm going to switch into Nine Racing Cat at this point, who is already gathering from this llama outside of his base, basically. Yeah, it's outside of this reach of his towers, and it is what? It's probably either Rhino or the boars, so probably a boars at this point. And where is his save hunt? At the back, which is kind of curious that he didn't go for this first, that he went for this one. Not exactly sure why, maybe he didn't see it, but I'm thinking that it's way too close for him not to see it. But I have no other idea why he would go for the unsafe hunt at the very forefront. Yeah, unsafe like you are getting extra damage into villages. But well, he did, and let's see how this is going to go for him. Garden being built right there, so he's definitely building it a lot faster than I am. Right now he's just asking the villagers at the llamas at the back. And I would be expecting that he's also having hunting dogs, well, quite of course, and since he's playing Nuva, he should be having a pretty decent game overall with this kind of map. Yep, so first garden finished, and he's right now switching into the house, and he's also doing quite a bit of scouting with the pigs at the back, and trying to find what else he has behind his own base. Otherwise, he's also quite nicely using those double scouts, as he's already having like almost all maps scouted, and we are at 2 minutes, so yeah, that's pretty nice indeed. And what are the relics here? I'm going to switch off the Fog of 4, as it's not really important at this stage. That's double plus 2 scout unit LOS, that's not half bad, but looking how he doesn't really need all that much scouting with those 2 scouts. It's going to be useful just for normal units and potential raiding later on. Next is villager skills animals in single shot. Well, it wouldn't really be all that useful if it wasn't for the special event of all those llamas here, where you actually don't know what you are shooting at. So yeah, in that kind of point of view, that could actually be useful indeed. And oh well, this is a nice one. Better villagers farming rate, that's definitely going to help. And if a lot 9 racing can be the one to actually take it, well, that's going to make his Niva economy all that much stronger. Otherwise, Bow of Artemis for Archer, Troll, Centaur and whatnot would cost, and normal cost overall, so that's a pretty nice relic to have, especially for the Chinese, who are going to be quite potentially going for a Chukonus. But at this point, I'm not exactly sure if relics are actually working on Chinese. I have seen some bug reports in there that maybe not, but at any rate, he doesn't want it actually for Master, because potentially Arca in the Heroic Age would be pretty nasty with this kind of relic. So we should be advancing into the Classical Age right now. Huangdi for a Lat 9 Racing Cat. He will be advancing at like 430. Switching into Master, he is going for Prometheus. Almost there already. We're almost there. Pretty much the same timing as his opponent. And looking at some other upgrades. Nothing yet, but how's it looking at the Economy Guild? That's Hendux. Okay, so he will be going for a lot of extra wood, which means probably Turma raiding from him, which is the obvious strategy for the Oranos here. Looking at the Chinese, some extra upgrades. Not yet, or is something being upgraded so far? Ah, yeah, it is. Also Handex and Dax. And another garden being dropped, and as you can see, he's using those buildings quite nicely to actually defend himself, as he's expecting quite heavy raiding from his opponent, which obviously when he's playing Oranos is going to happen, especially when he's facing a pretty good player overall. And well, let's see if this Volin is going to be enough. It's kind of interesting Volin, because I'm kind of thinking he's well open from the left still. I'm just going to put off these tabs here, as overall I'm much more interested actually in the chat here, and the messages from that, they are much more useful overall. And right now he is having all three oracles kind of nicely placed around his opponent, so potentially Sensui will be having an easier time of getting at his opponent. Let's see if those villages are going a bit more adventurous about here, or if they're going defensive. Okay, so they are going for a bit of a defensive build-up, as he's going for these extra food sources at the very back. Not exactly sure what they are, because they are not showing anything, any food. But I would be guessing they will be some standard deers or whatever. And how's it looking with the battles then? Well, switching into Master to have a proper look into what kind of units he's making. That's probably the standard combo of Murmilos together with Turmas. So yeah, that's pretty much going to be a standard trade-in right off the bat. And how's it looking with the Chinese? Well, just one war academy, and he will be defending with terracotta warriors together with some horses from the stables and also the Chukonos. So that's a pretty good combination of an army with double scout cavalry and the Chukonos in there. And also you can see a bit of a halberdier, so that's probably going to be 1 and 1 clicked in into the auto queue. No, he's not auto queuing them, he's auto queuing that, just the scouting cavalry. And right now he went for, yep, the call to arms, so he wants to have the extra army. And he probably expects that it will be a pretty good spot for him to fight anytime soon. But at the same time, I think it's kind of a waste of the god power at this point, because he's just basically letting his opponent know that right now it's not a good time to attack. When you want to use the god power is when you are engaged in an interesting, maybe equal battle, and then you suddenly turn it around and basically eliminate opponent's army, or force him to flee at a moment that you are basically just going to kill him. So this was seriously premature use of the god power. And you want to use it a lot later, especially when the engagement is happening. Otherwise, this hunt seems to be pretty safe, even though Master right now knows what's going to happen there, so probably expects some extra raiding from his own part. But well, that's not going to happen if 9 Racing Cat can actually finish the wall here, which I think he will, as with this kind of army against this, yeah. But well, scratch that. 9 Racing Cat is actually not paying enough attention, as he was thinking that Master is retreating altogether, which is not happening at this point, and he has lost the Willy. Oh well, that's unfortunate for him. Fortunately though, he does have extras in there, but still, this was kind of sloppy from Racing Cat, and he definitely needs to do better next time. He himself though is attempting some kind of raiding on his opponent. He's kind of reasonably successful, because he's at least forcing Master to defend rather than attack. That's kind of important switch the meta here, where Oranos is actually forced to defend against someone pretty heavily, instead of just going full on attack and raiding and whatnot. And looking at the maps, also pretty interesting is that Master is going for a second DC that you don't see really all that often, especially at 7.5 minutes. That's pretty interesting for Oranos right there. So he's not going for full on raiding, and he is much more interested in potentially going for a bit more economically based heroic age. 7-up for RTSS, it is having some kind of issues, because Wooble is moving to some new servers. I've been talking about it with Tough, and yeah, it will come back later in the day, I guess, but it's really annoying. I agree on that. Otherwise though, going back to the game, yeah, Sensui is not going for some brutal aggression. He's just having a lot of heroes trying to at least disrupt his opponent, but at this point it seems like more like buying time than anything else. Yeah, right now losing the Oracle or the line of sight, but yep, 9 Racing Cat is just taking this very slowly and trying to make sure that his economy is stronger than his opponents. He's leading by 200 points. That's quite a huge difference. And as you can see, he is having a lot of auto-queued guys, but he will be housed pretty soon if he doesn't go for houses himself. He is going for a TC though, so he's basically mimicking what Sensu is doing. He doesn't want to be caught off guard, and Sensu is trying to make sure that he knows if potentially his opponent is going for this front TC. This is basically the last chance, I kind of think, for Master to take some kind of decisive map control, because if he can deny Lat9 Racing at this TC, which is very crucial in the middle of the map, and also kind of unfortunate placement for 9 Racing Cat. Well, unfortunate. It's not really bad, but compared with what Master has, yeah, it's definitely worse. And could be making a lot of difference. Well, right now that's a pretty decent trade-in by Sensui, who has found the correct time to actually attack the blue willies, and he has killed quite a lot of them. Yeah, that was fair willies that right there, and he's also going to finish with this scout cavalry, but he better make sure that he can actually run away, because otherwise he's going to be caught here. Yeah, that was a nice usage of the god power. Has recovered 2. Kinda interesting that just 2. He should have recovered 3. But probably he cast it at kind of a wrong moment, or rather kind of wrong place, and he got just 2. So, yep, not ideal. Yet again, seems to be the theme here for Lat9 Racing Cat not using the god power at the correct moment. And, well, right now he's at least forcing his opponent back from the nasty raid-in. The economy from Lat9 Racing Cat, though, is rising quite substantially at this point. Having quite a lot of villagers. Let's just quickly check the observer overlay. Yeah, 42 villies against 17. Oh yeah, it's kind of similar, I have to say, when compared with the extra population that actually the Atlantean villagers take, but still, I would be hoping that Lat9 Racing Cat would be a lot more ahead than he actually is. I really find it curious at this point that he is not basically steaming over his opponent so far, but that's probably going to happen, especially if this kind of engagement is going to take place, because those Turmas, even though they are a direct counter unit to the Chukonus, with proper micro, I'm kinda thinking that 9 Racing Cat will be winning, and without too much trouble. Especially with those tanky terracottas in there. I would maybe like to see a bit more of them though, because they are really good in the early classical fight. 9 Racing Cat at this point is making an attempt at actually trying to secure his front EC, which he knows very well that is kinda risky. And he will need to put all the extra effort in there to actually secure it. And right now though he is having a hard time defending against the potential raid-in, but he has helped himself with building an extra wall, and he seems to be basically walled up altogether. Yeah, he has finished at the top very nicely, and he shouldn't be having any kind of easy way into his base. Just these two choke points, they should be very easy to defend for him overall. So right now it's going to be up to Master to think something up. Can he? Can he? Well, so far he's just gathering from those alpacas, which are probably hippos. And he is not interested in actually defending himself by walling, which he probably should be thinking about, because so far I think it's just a question of time before 9 Racing Cat decides to use those cavalry for some raiding himself. And yeah, this is a pretty good engagement, as he got some pretty free shots, and those Murmilos, which is quite costly for Master at this point. So he is finally switching some of those guys, yeah, exactly, and goes for raiding himself. Unfortunately for Senso, he's discovering exactly at the point where he's building the TC. Yeah, finally going at the villages, or not? Actually not. Okay, so he's thinking that he can actually get his ass kicked from those Murmilos, which is probably true, because it's not like those scout cavalry are all that strong, but more like he was actually waiting for the Chukonus and the other part of his army to arrive, so that he had a much better battle than what it was looking like earlier. Looking at Lat9 Racing Cat, who is still not advancing into the next age, whereas Sensu has already advanced. He is also facing a pretty bad battle next to his front TC, which he has just finished, which is a huge victory for him, as Sensu was trying to prevent that, and what he did achieve was at least eliminating quite a huge portion of Blue's army through a lot of heroes that he had. At the same time though, he's losing the battle for his front TC himself, as quite a lot of army has been split from 9 Racing Cat's main next to the TC, so basically split his army in two, and he has lost one battle but not really an important one, but at the same time one a much more crucial one for the development of the game. So here we finally see the Stinfal Embers making an appearance in the battlefield, and they are going to be quite useful at this point, because I don't see any immortals from the Chinese player. We'll definitely have to switch into them if he wants to deal with those kind of annoyances, because yeah, those Chukanos are pretty great, but not that great overall against the fine mythical units. So yeah, we're just going to be waiting for the immortals that are right now trickling in. And we also hear a lot of units from the temple, and that's Terracotta Warriors, some idle halberdiers. We should be moving forward pretty soon. And well, the window of opportunity for Sensu is slightly closing, or rather fast closing, and he needs to finish the TC as soon as possible, which he right now does, which keeps him into the game, or rather in the game, which is just as well, as otherwise he would be facing 2 versus 3 TCs, and that's not going to result into anything substantial. So Llama trying to take on the Immortal, and not going to fly with him. And what I really like about 9 Racing Cat is that he is using quite a decent building spam, so that he doesn't have to pull all of his units right from his base. So yep, he's right now trying to make sure that this TC is as safe as possible, and he will be making some kind of attempts on the opponent once. But that's not going to be all that easy, as Sensu is right now protecting it by his palace. And let's see if he will be switching into Archai, or if it's going to be Destroyers. I would be maybe hoping for some kind of Destroyers against all those Chukonus that Blue is making. And Blue is also trying to switch the battlefield from the left to the right. And yep, this is exactly what I was mentioning earlier, that Sensu should have been more careful about walling, as he just let his opponent raid all around him. And yep, this is just a huge disruption of the economy overall. You can see 9 villagers actually having to run and not doing anything, one already dead. And this is a pretty huge attack at this point, and not exactly sure why he is retreating or trying to even engage the Red Army. All he needs to do is basically just continue here and try to disrupt the economy as much as he can, which would buy him all that extra time that he would need to put his opponent into some kind of tough situation in the economy. So we see Hecate advancing from Master, and I was looking actually for Lat 9 Racing Cat. He's finally advancing at least Hebo. Hebo, that's going to be... oh my... Hebo, that's going to be... yeah, it's going to be Geyser. Okay. That could be quite nicely used in this battle, because he can definitely force his opponent into some kind of variant that he doesn't want to take. And Geyser helps you in that quite immensely. And pretty nice defense of the TC, so that he basically denies any kind of large amount of units surrounding it and dealing damage like the halberdiers, but more than that, those Terracotta Warriors. And it means that Lat 9 Racing Cat will be needing some extra siege. Potentially the Fire Lancers, or maybe in the Mythical Age, those Sitting Tigers. Yeah, looking at the resources, he will be probably switching into Mythical Age pretty soon. Yeah, I wouldn't really put it behind him to just build the market and build, or rather buy the extra food, as it would really give him a strong edge. And he will probably need it also pretty soon, because of the Mythical Age from Master himself. Well, Geyser is random, but at the same time it summons quite a lot of those Geysers, and you can't really risk sending units in there, because, yeah, you know that Age of Mythology pathing pretty much sucks, and if there is a worse option for the units you take, they definitely will. Oh yep, with that kind of knowledge, you kinda know that you need to avoid that. So in that regard, Geyser is pretty useful in basically luring, or rather making sure that your opponent goes the direction that you actually want him to. This was a pretty nice attempt by Lat 9 Racing Cat on the very good gold mine that is having a lot of villagers here. And that's like 7 villagers in here, and even though it was a nice gold mine, it didn't really yield any results, as Sensu was paying enough attention, and right now with the palace there up, yeah, that's pretty much going to be it, and this gold is going to be as safe as ever. So nice attempt, but not going to yield results. An attempt by Master, who is also getting higher in scores, which is a pretty nice thing to see, and he is... oh well, yeah, that's a sloppy wall in right there. Well, that's a very sloppy wall in right there, and Nine Racing Cat is going to pay for that with the lives of his villagers, I kinda think. And he won't be aware of it at all.
是的，
Yeah, he's not. He's not aware of it at all. Right now he is just engaged in some kind of army battle somewhere, or not. Well, he's just sending absolutely everything back, and that's Tartaring it, obviously. So if it wasn't for this, yeah, pretty bad walling, that wouldn't have happened. And well, right now it's a bit of a problem for Lat9 Racing Cat, because to deal with this Tartarian gate, he needs to use all this army that was coming back, so that was kind of fortuitous for him to actually retreat with everything. And well, it is going to allow Red to actually raid right inside of his army here. If there is any. Well, there isn't, but that's, yeah, building spank 2-0. That's a building spam 2-0 quite nicely done, and basically denying any kind of opportunities for Red to do anything about this. So this is just buying some time to Sensui to potentially maybe go into Titan Age, potentially. Yeah, that's what Atlanteans do, but he will have to hurry up, as Lat9 Racing Cat is in the Mythical Age as well, and he has advanced through Sivangmu. He's attempting right now to break through the walls onto the gold mine, which is a pretty nice idea. As looking at the map, it's actually pretty crucial for him, because this gold mine on the left is already through. Tartarian gate is almost done, just a few idols and one last Tartarian spawn, but this gold is gone, and this is going to be the one that Lat9 Racing definitely wants to keep in his possession, as this one as well. I'm kinda expecting him to develop a bit onto the right side, as this one in the middle is not really all that much safe, even though he does have a lot of military buildings there. I'm not thinking that he wants to actually rely on a gold mine that could be assaulted by his opponent kinda easily. I'm going to switch into Master at this point, and yep, yeah, that's the Titan right there. And let's see where he's going to build it. Because he will have to be super careful, as I'm kind of thinking that the Earth Dragon is going to be a very good counter power for that. If he casts it somewhere here, it could be pretty nasty for the Titan Gate, and let's see if there is something that will happen. He will need some flying unit, because it seems like that Sensui is finishing his falling, even though he still has some kind of way through. But still, I'm really curious about the attempt from 9 Racing Cat to potentially cast the Earth Dragon there. Situation in the middle seems to be stabilizing, as Master is losing those last Turmas, which are a pretty bad unit, to be honest, at this point, but he probably didn't have strong enough echo. You can see that he's pretty much stretched. And yep, right now he's switching into the proper heroic, or rather mythical army from the Atlanteans and that's destroyers, and especially those Archive. Yeah, pretty strong push right now by 9 Racing Cat, who is trying to force his way through into the middle. Let's have a look at some of the upgrades of the units. That's just copper shields, and that's pretty much it for the Oranos, Verias. And that's a whole baseline and the extra upgrades for the Niva player. Okay, so that's a pretty good army at this point, and castle drop, very interestingly placed. And here we see the dragon. Okay, that's not a half bad placement either. That's a pretty good one, I have to say. And I would be really curious if it would be usable against this one. I would really think so. I would really dare to think so at this point. Because there was some room to cast it, and it could be pretty powerful indeed. And here we go with the Geyser, and that was exactly the kind of place that I was thinking that it could be used in. As Geyser is especially great in some kind of choke points, and this is a choke point that Lat9 Racing Cat actually wants Master to go away from, as it's covered by both the DC and the Palace, and also the tower, and it's pretty strong indeed overall. And yeah, here we see that the Earth Dragon didn't really survive all that long, even though he had 5000 hit points, but still, it did its damage together with the Geyser. But is it going to be enough? Looking at the battle here, Sensui is definitely having an upper hand, and he is trying to push off 9 Racing Cat from this position, and will he succeed? He's using, oh yeah, they're using some amphibians here, like the War Salamander, and are those mythical units going to be the answer here? Yep, Red is Sensui, and well, looking at this attempt, pretty clever siege coverage by the wall, which is used usually by Egyptians and their catapults, but obviously it's also going to be used by the sitting tigers because they are having pretty similar range to them. Well, seems like that the situation has been normalized for 9 Racing Cat, but right now we are going to be seeing how the Titan can actually change the game all around. So this tall guy is coming in, and can he protect the TC? It seems like that the TC will stand, even though Racing Cat did make a pretty strong attempt, or rather claim, on taking it down, but it doesn't seem to be successful all that much. But with the army that Red has, together with the Titan, it's going to be slightly difficult for 9 Racing Cat to do anything about it. I think once he actually clears this pretty brutal building spam, he's going to be in a pretty good spot to go for it even further. Yeah, White Tiger trying to actually jump on the Titan. Good job with that. But otherwise, Titan is getting hammered already 408 points less than he is. But that was a very nice one, a very nice hit on those catapults on other sitting tigers. And well, yep, here we see that the Titan is exactly what Sensui needed in this battle. When he pushed through to the TC, that's going to be the next stop for him. And if he can, that could be something that will actually win the game, because so far he is basically 20 population less. But with the fact that the opponent has to concentrate on the Titan pretty strongly, because if he doesn't, then the Titan is just going to level absolutely everything. And yeah, we have seen that the next Earth Dragon will be here pretty soon. And I'm kind of expecting that he will be cast in some kind of similar position and maybe trying to get rid of all those buildings or some placement around here. Well, it would be easily avoidable, to be honest, as those archers would just run around and that would be pretty much it. Well, not even those immortals are actually good enough to substantially deal with the Titan. I'm still waiting for monks. That's a unit I'm definitely missing here. Ah, yeah, this is unfortunate, those extra idols here. That's quite a lot of population right there that 9 Racing Cat is missing. And well, 9 Racing Cat is not really concentrating on the Titan, just with all his army. He's also attempting to actually break through on the right side, which is a pretty decent idea, as obviously he needs to somehow punish Master's economy in the meantime, as the Titan is going to do exactly the same to him. So yep, this is a nice idea with the sitting tiger, and he will quite probably be able to take down this TC because all the army is right now, right here with the Titan, and since he's having Titan, he's having 20 pop less, so yep, it's going to be all that much harder to defend at 2 places at once, or rather fight at 2 places at once. So Earth Dragon is here, and it's cast on the TC. As you can see, it's not doing half bad damage, even though it's not really great. It's also kind of working as a tank. If you're not paying enough attention, it's going to be tanking quite a lot of damage from the TC, basically allowing all those extra units here dealing damage and yeah, not being killed by anything. The Earth Dragon, well, what I think about it, if you use it correctly, it can be pretty strong. I think it's very useful in some kind of situations like these, where it was used in the first attempt, where Red was having a lot of archive here and defending amongst double palace and a TC. So if you cast it there, it can either tank a lot of damage, or it can basically help you push through some kind of choke points like that. So yeah, you need to use it correctly. If you use it wisely, it can actually be pretty useful overall. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So TC, well, I was going to say that it's basically done. But look at how Sensui is actually able to defend it, as he doesn't face any kind of opposition whatsoever. In the middle, he is able to concentrate on this side attack, and doing a pretty good job at that, and he should be keeping the TC alive. But I wouldn't really, yeah, hike up the pants before the shallows. Because, as you can see, one more shot from the catapult. Will we get it? No, we won't. Oh well, that was terribly close. That was a huge luck for Sensui, because if he lost those 20 population, that would be pretty very bad. But let's not call it a day yet, because Blue is still very strongly pushing for it. And these ones, one extra shot, oh, he's going to need quite a lot more than that. And those fanatics with those destroyers, well, not really nicely upgraded. I would be expecting a bit more in there, but still, pretty nice attempt. And you can see Sensui is recognizing the situation is getting slightly dire, and he's sending as many villies as he can to actually defend against that. But the Earth Dragon right now, he has expired, I think. No, he hasn't expired, he has been killed. And well, yeah, this is the extra defense that Sensui at this point needs, and this should be exactly it for the battle. But will it be? Because all the army from 9 Racing Cat is right now concentrated on the right battlefield, but at the same time he's fighting 1 TC less, which is basically equal game at this point. So it means like the same army for both 9 Racing Cat and Master, with Master having a Titan and Lat 9 Racing Cat being Niva and all, having extra population through the gardens. Is he having actually all of them? I'm seeing just 4 or 5, about 5. So he can actually go 5 pop-up. That's a bit of a problem for him, and well, yeah, not really any save gold gathering for Sensui anymore, as he's been very nicely raided, as 9 Racing Cat is kind of smelling the opportunity here, and smelling the opportunity, he's just thinking that he needs to do something substantial, because the Titan is still having half the hit points, and he has killed yet another TC. And even though he's trying to reclaim the middle one, because obviously why not, as he's not facing any kind of army here. Oh well, scratch that. Can they actually make it there in time? Oh yeah, he got the hit there. He got the hit there in the wall. Okay, so that's buying the extra time. That's a very nice play from Blue. And he will be protecting TC at least for a bit longer. But still, with all those destroyers, he could be able to actually take it down altogether. Sensui has been able to defend though. At the very bottom, the TC is up, but come on, send the Willies somewhere. And those fanatics as well. Basically claiming what was his yet again, but he needs to basically set up trade route because he doesn't have any save gold anymore. Slut 9 Racing Cat is slowly working on basically stealing his gold. Yeah, he's right now trying to make sure that he has as much gold as possible. He's still having quite a lot of mines, and Sensui will be gold starved very soon if he doesn't start with his own trade route. I don't really see all that many guys carrying something. Oh, those llamas, yeah. So probably just now starting. Yeah, he's just now starting, recognizing that he has been forced off the gold, and he will be having a bit harder time later on. Right about now, because even though he is having 500 gold, he is still 20 population less, and it's kind of curious that he isn't able to actually push out enough units. And I'm not really sure why that is. He does have the economy, he just doesn't have the military buildings. Yeah, you can see that he's having auto queue on all those palaces, but that's not really cutting it. And oh, finally, right now he's getting into the 160, but it might be way too late. And switching into fanatics, I think, is the correct answer, especially when we are looking at heavy hardware gears from 9 Racing Cat, with still the baseline, but bronze weapons. And fanatics are having, yeah, still the same bronze, just bronze mail and the baseline in there. Yeah, this Titan seems to be basically stuck here, getting, or rather making sure that this TC basically toast with all of those villagers not getting in here, and he's not even attempting to actually go here for the next TC, and I'm thinking that he's probably going to stay here and make sure that now 9 Racing Cat is at just 2 TCs. So that's his third and last use of the Earth Dragon. Seems like a pretty decent one, because 9 Racing Cat wants to make sure that Sensui is basically gold starved. As you can see, he's at basically 0 at this point. So yep, that was a pretty crucial play of this Earth Dragon, and I'm thinking it's really pretty smart play, because he's denying basically the last gold mine that Sensui had, and Sensui right now is forced to go for just the trade. He doesn't have any gold whatsoever anywhere. He would have to develop here. Oh well, yeah, nice follow rat. If it wasn't for this, let's put on the Fog of 4, and he actually doesn't see it. Oh well, so he's maybe thinking it's going well to the wall, which it doesn't. And yeah, sweet wall. Not. Not really working all that well for him, just some extra idols in here as well, and it seems like that the push through the middle is right now growing in strength for Master. Can he actually make it count at this point? Because we can see that the Titan has finally been killed, which means that 9 Racing Cat will be getting back at 3 TCs in no time. And this is basically the last moment that Sensui can do something about it, because he has not wasted, it was very nicely used. He has used up all his opportunities at this point, and it's basically going to be just up to his strategical qualities and some kind of quality of his army. Well, if he can maybe kill this TC and somehow get rid of all those buildings, I'm kind of thinking that he should maybe just give up on the TC and try to get rid of those military buildings, because once he makes sure that the replacements are slower for his opponent than just sending them right in, it could be quite a different battle and quite easier for him to actually win it and then subsequently kill the TC. So yeah, right now he's forced back as he doesn't have any kind of siege. Not going for onagers. Yeah, curious why not, but that's exactly what he could use actually at this point of the game. But he is maybe just too used to the normal Age of Mythology that he doesn't realize that they could be pretty useful indeed for him at this stage of the game. Definitely better than the fire siphons that he could potentially make. So yep, yet another attempt from the right side, where Master hasn't walled not nearly enough, and he's yet again under an assault from those sitting tigers. So they will be killing this manor, putting Master at slightly lower pop limit, slightly lower. I can see that's 20 pop, but he was aware quite well, so he's finishing with the replacement quite soon and shouldn't be really all that much of a downtime that should be deciding any kind of play. So quite a tanky play by the War Salamander, trying to be the hero for his army, and he definitely was, and he's buying an extra time for some stabilizing moment for 9 Racing Cat, who is still at 2 TCs. Right now we'll be finishing at 3, and I'm kinda waiting for the final push of the blue player into the offensive here. So the dragon will be slowly dying, I think. Oh yeah, right about now. He just finished his 3 minutes, and it means that this goal is not going to be safe anymore for a Racing Cat, and maybe could be up for the taking for a red. And he's definitely thinking that he can make that happen. Going for armories. Okay, so that's okay. I'm not really thinking it's for some kind of upgrades. I think it's just basically another kind of wall, as he doesn't have enough gold. As opposed to Lot 9 Racing Cat, obviously looking at his economy, and yep, he doesn't have any gold whatsoever. So he doesn't have the gold even for walls, and he's using whatever building he can build that is strong enough and doesn't cost gold. Well, the Atlantean Siege, I actually haven't seen it in proper action yet, but it isn't half bad. It's basically some kind of variant on Petrobolos from the Greeks. But what is a huge bonus is that it's having pretty decent range overall. Oh, come on, Oranos. Do we see it here yet? Oh, Nature, here we see it, finally. And yep, with range of 28, that's pretty huge. That's basically like Catapult, I think, or at least like the Sitting Tiger. Yeah, it's the same as the Sitting Tiger, so that's a pretty huge range right there. And he definitely could use this kind of siege. As you can see, that blue is making pretty good use of the ranged units, trying to make sure that he kills all the buildings. Yeah, killing already one palace. And I'm not really understanding why Sensu isn't using it. He could just get rid of all those castles, all those war academies, and basically put his opponent in a terrible situation that he would have to rebuild somewhere else and send units across half the map to the battlefield, which would give him all that much more time to make something happen in there. So yeah, that's kind of one of the mysteries of Sensui's minds so far in this game. But well, at least we are going to see quite a lot of battles in the middle here, and quite a lot of guys dying for the cause of their masters. So looking at the upgrades here, we already see Champion Chukonus with some extra upgrades like bronze shields and bronze weapons. So we are just waiting for the iron line to get in, whereas for Sensui it's bronze and still the same. He is just researched Burning Pitch, that's I think new, that wasn't here before, but still he is needing quite a lot of extra in here. Yeah, these are just for walling, and he doesn't have the extra resources, especially in the gold department, for the upgrades, and I'm kind of worried for him that it might cost him the game here, because obviously he's facing quite a better economy, and 9 Racing Cat having all the gold all across the map, having pretty sweet gold control, really. Having quite a lot of gold still, especially with this one stolen from Sensui, and well, yep. This might be it, because right now it seems like that this push from Master is not going anywhere, and it's not really any kind of push, it's more of a defense against 9 Racing Cat, who is or the one pushing, if for the fact that he is the only one having the siege here. Yeah, right now there is a pretty nice opening, so he could potentially go through the left side. Not idle here, because he probably couldn't make his room into the range. But still, slowly but surely, those Chukunus are making an advance, as those Archai are not good enough. They are definitely not good enough, and you can still see that the economy from Master is just horribly strained. Just going to put on the resources here, and the difference here from Niva and Master, well, that's just a huge difference. That's 4,000 food, 5,000 wood, and 5,000 gold. That's absolutely tragic difference right there. And looking at that, you have to be surprised. Why is Sensui still in the game? That just speaks to how good player he actually is. Because with this huge difference in resources spent, and that basically means units lost for 9 racing get, you would be thinking that he would be out of the game much earlier. I'm going to switch into some other tabs. Production, yeah, you can see a bit of a research here into Sentry Towers, extra garden being built. And yeah, a lot of resources the units lost here. Wow. Just another huge difference. It's exactly basically the difference, especially in the food department, between those two players that we have seen in the resources gathered. So Sensui is doing a damn good job actually in fighting, but that's, yeah, that's pretty much it so far. Looking at the units overall, we are seeing quite a huge amount of halberdiers together with Chukonus. For the blue player, whereas red is having just a lot of llamas, as they are basically replacing all the gold villagers. And yeah, the military units are not really bountiful, rather plentiful. Just 3 destroyers, 3 fanatics, 9 archai, and 1 steam fallenbred, fighting against, yeah, like 40 units. That's a pretty huge difference at this point, especially looking at the pop limits in the military. That's 80 against just 40. And yeah, it's really known, as you can see, that 9 racing get is advancing ever forward, killing already both of those palaces that were here. And right now, the TC will be next, and especially when he's pushing forward with his own castle. With his own castle, and something else happening on the map. Well, on the left it seems like that 9 racing cat is also trying to push through and not really having some kind of problems there, as just a few fanatics which are basically going to be countered by all those Chukonus. And well, Sensui has to defend this at all costs, because this is his own gold, lone gold income at this point, and if he doesn't actually make sure that it is protected as much as he can, it's going to be pretty much a GG for him. Oh well, what is happening here? That's some kind of... Okay, that's a lot of pop for 9 racing cat. Just chilling here. That's 12 halberdiers not doing anything. Yeah, I was kind of thinking that I don't really see all that many halberdiers here. So that's a lot of weird popping that 9 racing cat is not really aware of at all. And that's basically what is keeping Master in the game so far, because yeah, just fighting, kinda losing battle, but he's doing a pretty good job at that, and he is still trying to push at least some kind of building spam here so that he can protect the TC, because this is going to be the last bastion, last chance to make something happen with the game overall. 9 Racing Cat has also finished with the goal on the right, so that's going to be down to the last gold mine that is available to him. This one on the left is going to be gone pretty much soon as well, and these 2 castles, or the 3 castles, are making a pretty nice spot to go back with his army and defend against potential, yeah, recurrence of and to push from the red player at this point. Yep, looking at the chat, 7up is pretty right that the war chariots could be a pretty nice idea, especially against all those archives, so that would be pretty interesting indeed. And those halberdiers, I kind of think they're a bit of a waste here. They are working like a meat shield, and finally here we see, yeah, the idle, the idle group making an appearance here, and this could be exactly all the difference that would make the battle won for the last 9 Racing Get and Niva players. So the TC seems to be coming down, as the attack is pretty strong with the extra upgrade into the siege engineers right now. for the Sydney Tigers, and it doesn't seem like that Sensui is having enough units here to defend against this. So can he somehow pull something out of his head and turn it around? Yeah, he can't. He can't, and he decides that it's time to resign after 38 minutes of a pretty decent battle and very pitched battle overall. Yep, we have seen quite a lot of stuff from both the Atlantean and the Chinese player, and I have to say that overall the gold control of Flat 9 Racing Cat was what won him the game, because it allowed him to have pretty nice economy overall, and yeah, Sensui just couldn't push through that, even though he did have a pretty strong opportunity with the Titan, but somehow couldn't make proper use of it. Couldn't make proper use of it overall, but still, very nice game indeed. So let's have a look at the post game. The total score, quite surprisingly similar, I have to say. Looking at the economy score, we will be seeing that in another tab. The next step, that was a huge difference in there, and that just speaks volumes to how good Master did defend and attack with his own units. So looking at the economy, that's just a brutal difference. 5,000 in food, 4,000 in wood, and another 3,000 in gold. Even though we have to say that in the end Master did have pretty decent rate. So that kinda makes up for all the difference. So let's say in the end it was equal, but like 10 minutes earlier when we were looking at it, yeah, that was just Plat 9 Racing Cat being in another universe. And military count, yep, it just confirms that Chinese are pretty good at spamming trash units and keeping the battles alive for much longer than you would think otherwise. Pretty fast advances from Sensui overall, especially the heroic is much faster than its opponent by 4 minutes. Mythical age, not as much, but pretty decent advance time, and research count was pretty similar, but we could have seen that Sensui was missing quite a lot of upgrades on the military, especially the bronze ones and of course the iron ones, and that was also making a difference and maybe preventing him from pushing through into his opponent. Yeah, that's a lot of Albert years. Not bad. Not bad. At like 30 minutes, it was pretty much at 80 population. It's a pretty sweet boom. And in the military units, yeah, you can see it was still pretty much the majority of the game. 9 Racing Cat did have more units. And that's all that much more curious why he wasn't able to push through his opponent sooner. Yep. That's what happens. I want to have a look at the gold. And yeah, this is basically the moment when Master faced the problem with the gold and had to switch into trade. And these, how many? 5 minutes were pretty crucial. And basically, yeah, he couldn't do anything but just defend. And even though he had pretty nice trade going about here, it was these 5 minutes basically cost him any kind of chance of doing something substantial with the game, I would say. Yeah, here nicely see the switch when actually the economy from Ati is starting to be weaker than the opponent wants. It's basically at all 3 resources the same spot around those 20 minutes here. Yeah, into the late game. Alright then, GG.